phone was ringing. I stared at the cracked screen lighting up in my lap, Riverside Elementary flashing across the display, and felt my entire plan unraveling in real time. Around me, 200 employees of Blackwell Technologies sat packed into the community center in southeast Atlanta, their eyes glued to the stage where CEO Darius Washington was mid-rant about dedication and sacrifice. My 6-year-old son, Isaiah, never called during school hours unless something was wrong. I pressed the phone to my padded blazer, muffling the vibration. The cheap wig I wore, jet black instead of my natural auburn locks, itched against my scalp. The thick-framed glasses kept sliding down my nose. For 2 weeks, I'd been Keisha Brooks, a struggling single mother desperate for a junior marketing position. Not Imani Carter. Definitely not the IC Carter whose venture capital firm had just purchased 51% of this failing company through 3 different shell corporations. If you're loving this story so far, hit that subscribe button right now. And drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Atlanta? Chicago? Houston? Let me know. This is about to get intense. The phone buzzed again. Isaiah's school. My heart hammered. I'd spent 7 years building myself back up after Darius Washington, the man currently pacing that stage in his custom Tom Ford suit, handed me an envelope of cash and told me to handle my situation. The same man who'd promised to leave his politically connected wife once his tech company went public. The same man who'd held me after midnight strategy sessions and whispered that I was his secret weapon, his brilliant queen, until I became pregnant. Then I was just a problem to be solved with cash and silence. I slipped toward the side exit as quietly as possible, phone pressed to my ear. Hello? This is Isaiah's mother. The community center doors slammed open behind me. And where exactly do you think you're going? Darius's voice cut through the humid Atlanta air like a blade. I turned slowly. He stood in the doorway, designer loafers planted wide, arms crossed over his chest. Behind him, employees craned their necks to watch the drama unfold. Sir, I'm so sorry, it's my son's school. Your son. He said it like the word tasted rotten. Let me guess. Emergency. Crisis. Always something with you people. You people. My jaw clenched. The real Imani would have destroyed him with 3 sentences. But Keisha Brooks, the character I was playing, had to stay small. It'll just take 2 minutes. This is exactly why I don't hire single mothers. Darius's voice rose, carrying across the building. More employees appeared, some recording on their phones. Too many distractions. Too many excuses. You can't commit to excellence when you're worried about school pickups and scraped knees. Mr. Washington, please, I just need to. You're fired. The words hit like a slap. Security. He snapped his fingers toward 2 men in cheap uniforms. Escort Miss Brooks out. Immediately. And make sure HR knows I want a new policy. No more hiring parents who can't focus on what actually matters. As the security guards approached, I caught my reflection in the glass doors, the fake glasses, the wig, the padding that made me invisible. He had no idea who I really was. He had no idea that in exactly 90 minutes, I'd be walking into the emergency board meeting as the new chairwoman. Comment below. Should she destroy him completely or give him a chance? Let's debate. But first, I had to get to my son. The boardroom of Blackwell Technologies smelled like desperation and old air conditioning. I watched through the tinted glass partition as 12 board members settled into their seats around the long table, their faces tight with anxiety. Darius sat at the head, confident as ever, straightening his tie. He had no idea his world was about to flip upside down. My assistant, Jasmine, handed me a folder. Ma'am, Isaiah is fine. Just a bump on the playground. Your sister picked him up. I exhaled slowly, my heart still racing from the panic. Thank you. Are you ready for this? Was I? 7 years I'd spent building IC capital from nothing, working triple shifts as a data analyst while pregnant, then coding software solutions from my 1-bedroom apartment in Decatur while Isaiah slept in a second-hand crib. I'd made my first million by 29, legitimately hostile, taking over 3 corrupt companies by 32. Now, at 35, I was one of the Southeast's most feared venture capitalists. and Darius Washington didn't even recognize me. "Let's go," I said. I'd changed from the frumpy disguise into a custom-tailored emerald blazer and pencil skirt, my natural auburn locks cascading down my back, gold hoops in my ears, the kind of confidence that comes from owning the room before you enter it. Don't forget to like this video if you're enjoying the story, and subscribe because the next part is crazy. The board secretary announced me, "Ladies and gentlemen, I.C. Carter, your new chairwoman and majority shareholder." I pushed open the doors. The room went silent. Darius's head snapped up. His eyes went wide, confusion, then recognition, then pure horror washing over his face like a wave. "Good afternoon, board members," I said, my voice steady and cold. "I'm Imani Carter. Most of you know me as I.C. Carter of IC Capital. Some of you may remember me as Imani Hayes before I reclaimed my mother's maiden name. I made direct eye contact with Darius. And one of you knows me as the junior strategist you fired this morning for being a single mother." Someone gasped. Darius's mouth opened and closed like a fish drowning in air. "As of this morning," I continued, settling into the head chair, Darius's chair, "my firm controls 51% of Blackwell Technologies. The company is bleeding money due to mismanagement, ethical violations, and a toxic workplace culture that starts at the top." I opened my folder. "We're implementing immediate restructuring, starting with executive leadership." "Imani," Darius finally found his voice. "Wait, let me explain. Mr. Washington." I cut him off with surgical precision. "All communication will go through official channels. You're being demoted from CEO to Chief Operating Officer, effective immediately. You'll report directly to me." His face went ashen. "You can't." "I can. I own this company now. You work for me. Drop a comment. Is this justice or revenge? Let me know what you think." The board members shifted uncomfortably. I could see the calculations happening behind their eyes. Who would survive this purge? Who wouldn't? "One more thing," I said, my voice dropping to ice. "Keisha Brooks, the woman you publicly humiliated and fired today, she's being rehired with a full apology, back pay, and a promotion. You'll deliver that apology yourself. In writing. Tomorrow." Darius's hands trembled on the table. "Meeting adjourned," I said. "Mr. Washington, stay behind. We need to discuss your conduct." As the board filed out in stunned silence, Darius and I sat alone in that room, hunter and hunted, with the roles finally reversed. The shareholder meeting was packed. 400 investors, employees, and journalists crammed into the conference hall at the Hyatt Regency in downtown Atlanta. Cameras flashing, tensions crackling like lightning before a storm. I sat at the head table in a burnt orange suit that commanded attention, my natural locks styled in an elegant updo. Beside me, Darius looked like he hadn't slept in weeks, which he probably hadn't. It had been 2 months since I'd taken control. 2 months of working 18-hour days, restructuring departments, exposing Darius's shortcuts and his VP Terrell Johnson's suspicious financial transfers. 2 months of Darius trying to apologize, explain, and grovel his way back into my good graces. 2 months of me keeping him at arm's length while our son asked why that man from mommy's work kept showing up at his soccer games, watching from a distance. Subscribe if you haven't already. This ending is going to blow your mind. Everything was going according to plan, until Terrell Johnson stood up. Before we proceed, Darius's VP and supposed best friend announced, his voice booming across the hall, "Shareholders deserve to know the truth about our new chairwoman." My stomach dropped. Terrell clicked a remote. The massive screen behind us lit up with photos of Darius and me from 7 years ago, laughing at a strategy meeting. Text messages. Bank transfers showing Darius's $50,000 payment. And worst of all, a photo of me picking up Isaiah from school last week. "I.C. Carter," Terrell proclaimed, "is actually Imani Hayes, Darius Washington's former mistress and the mother of his illegitimate son. She's not here to save this company. She's here for revenge. This is a personal vendetta disguised as corporate restructuring." The room erupted. Cameras swiveled toward me. Journalists shouted questions. Investors stood, demanding answers. I sat frozen, my carefully constructed walls crumbling. Across the table, Darius looked equally shocked. He hadn't known Terrell would do this. "She's been manipulating all of you," Terrell continued, triumphant. "Using corporate law to settle a personal score because Darius made a difficult choice 7 years ago." "Shut up, Terrell." Darius's voice cut through the chaos. He stood slowly, walked to the microphone, and pushed Terrell aside. "Everything Terrell said is true," Darius said, his voice shaking but clear. "7 years ago, I betrayed the woman I loved because I was a coward." The room went dead silent. Imani Hayes created the algorithm that made Blackwell Technologies worth billions. She worked 16-hour days while I took credit in press conferences. She believed me when I said I'd leave my wife, that we'd build this future together. His voice cracked. When she told me she was pregnant, I handed her money and told her to disappear. I was terrified of scandal, obsessed with my political connections, my reputation. Tears streamed down his face. Yesterday, I discovered that she kept our son, Isaiah. He's 6 years old. He has my eyes and her brilliant mind, and I've missed every single moment of his life because I chose status over love. He turned to me, his eyes pleading. Imani Carter is the smartest person in this room. She built herself from nothing twice. Once when she created this company, and again when I destroyed her. If Blackwell survives, it's because of her leadership, not mine. He faced the crowd again. "I don't deserve forgiveness. I don't deserve her. But I'm asking you to trust her, not me. Because she's the only one who can save what we built." The room held its breath. I stood, my heart pounding. Terrell Johnson has been embezzling for 8 months. I have proof. The evidence hit the screen like a bomb. Bank statements, wire transfers, offshore accounts in the Cayman Islands, email chains between Terrell Johnson and Blackwell's biggest competitor, Summit Corporation, 8 months of systematic theft, totaling $4.2 million. "Terrell didn't expose me out of ethics," I said, my voice cutting through the stunned silence. "He did it to distract you from his own crimes. He's been sabotaging this company, betting that I'd be too emotional to think clearly when he played the scorned woman card." Security was already moving toward Terrell. He backed away from the microphone, his triumphant expression collapsing into panic. "You don't understand. I was trying to help you, Imani. I've loved you since the beginning. I watched him treat you like garbage, and I waited. You waited to destroy him so you could swoop in like some kind of hero?" I stepped closer, my heels clicking against the stage floor. "You didn't love me, Terrell. You saw an opportunity. The same way you saw an opportunity in those bank accounts." The security guards grabbed his arms. Terrell struggled, his eyes wild. "I did this for us. I thought if Darius lost everything, you'd finally see me." "Take him out," I ordered. As they dragged Terrell toward the exit, he screamed back at the crowd. "She's lying. Check her accounts. She's the one." The doors slammed shut, cutting off his protests. I turned back to 400 pairs of eyes. Cameras. Reporters scribbling frantically. Investors are calculating whether to run or stay. "This company will survive," I said firmly. "Not because of revenge. Not because of personal vendettas. But because 3,000 people depend on the paychecks we sign every 2 weeks. Because innovation matters more than ego. Because we're going to rebuild this place with integrity, transparency, and accountability." Slowly, someone started clapping. Then another. Then another. Within seconds, the entire room was on their feet. Not for me, not for Darius, but for the possibility that something broken could actually be fixed. If this story is hitting different, smash that subscribe button. You don't want to miss what happens next. 3 weeks later, Darius stood outside my office like a man waiting for execution. "Come in," I called without looking up from my laptop. He entered quietly, holding a manila folder. "The ethics audit you requested. Every policy violation from the last 5 years, including mine." I took the folder and scanned the first page. His financial misconduct, the hostile work environment complaints, and the discriminatory hiring practices. All documented, all signed by him. You're recommending your own termination, I observed. Yes. Why? He met my eyes for the first time in weeks. Because it's right. Because I can't undo the past, but I can stop making excuses for it. Silence stretched between us, heavy with 7 years of betrayal, 2 months of forced proximity, and the ghost of what we used to be. Isaiah asked me yesterday if you were his father, I said quietly. Darius's face crumbled. What did you tell him? I told him yes. I told him you made mistakes, but you're trying to be better. I told him being a father isn't about biology. It's about showing up, even when it's hard. Can I? His voice broke. Can I show up? Not for you. I know I don't deserve that. But for him. I closed the laptop. Looked at this man who'd destroyed me. This man who was finally taking accountability. Supervised visits. Saturdays. You miss one, you're done. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. Thank you. Don't thank me, Darius. Prove it. He left my office a different man than he entered. And I sat there, wondering if forgiveness was weakness or the hardest kind of strength. 6 months later, I stood at my living room window in my Buckhead townhouse, watching a scene I never thought I'd see. Darius crouched in my driveway, steadying Isaiah's bicycle. My son, our son, pedaled furiously, his training wheels wobbling, his face scrunched in concentration. Darius ran alongside him, one hand hovering near the seat, ready to catch him if he fell. You got it, Isaiah. Keep going. Isaiah's laughter filled the autumn air. I sipped my coffee, my heart doing complicated things I wasn't ready to name. My sister, Nicole, appeared beside me, following my gaze. You gonna let him back in? For real? It's not about letting him back in, I said carefully. It's about giving Isaiah a father who's actually present. And what about you? You still love him? Did I? The man who'd handed me cash and told me to disappear? No. I'd buried that love 7 years ago in a 1-bedroom apartment in Decatur while I rocked a crying newborn alone. But the man outside, the one who'd shown up every Saturday for 6 months, who'd sat through Isaiah's terrible school play, who'd attended therapy and AA meetings without me asking, that man was different. I don't know what I feel, I admitted, but I know what I won't accept. I won't be anyone's secret. I won't be the second choice. And I won't let Isaiah grow up watching me settle for less than I deserve. Nicole nodded. That's my sister. Outside, Isaiah hit a bump and went sprawling. Darius caught him before he hit the ground, both of them tumbling into the grass in a tangle of limbs and laughter. My phone buzzed. A text from Darius. He's okay. Just a scraped knee and wounded pride. Can I bring him in? I typed back, 5 minutes. Then you leave. Understood. I opened the front door as they walked up, Isaiah chattering excitedly about, almost riding like a big kid. Darius met my eyes over our son's head, not with expectation or demand, but with quiet gratitude. Thanks for today, he said simply. Same time next week, I replied. Don't be late. I won't be. He kissed Isaiah's forehead, nodded to me, and walked to his car. He didn't ask to come in. Didn't push for more. Just got in his Tesla and drove away. Isaiah tugged my hand. Mama, do you think Daddy will teach me to ride without training wheels? Daddy. The word still felt strange. But Isaiah had chosen it, and I wouldn't take that from him. If he keeps showing up, I said, I think he will. As I closed the door, my reflection stared back at me from the hallway mirror. Not the broken girl Darius had paid to disappear, but the woman who'd built an empire from ash. Here's what I learned. Real strength isn't about revenge. It's about knowing your worth and refusing to settle. It's about holding people accountable while leaving room for growth. And it's about teaching your children that forgiveness isn't weakness. It's a choice you make from a position of power, not desperation. If the story moved you, hit that subscribe button right now. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done in Imani's position. And share this with someone who needs to hear this message today. Your worth is non-negotiable. Never forget that. I picked up Isaiah and headed to the kitchen. We had our whole lives ahead of us. And for the first time in 7 years, I wasn't facing it alone. But I wasn't dependent on anyone either. I was just free.